the secret power of distance healing, the mystical methods of Paramahansa Yogananda revealed. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night feeling that someone you love, thousands of miles away, desperately needs your help? Have you experienced that inexplicable sensation of invisible connection with another person, as if you could touch their soul regardless of the physical distance that separates you? What you're about to discover will forever change your understanding of the real power of the human mind. In the next few minutes, I will reveal the ancient secrets that Paramahansa Yogananda taught about the extraordinary capacity we all possess to send healing energy through time and space. I'm not talking about fantasies or illusions. I'm talking about a real spiritual science, proven by thousands of people over decades, that will allow you to become a channel of divine light capable of transforming lives, no matter where you find yourself right now. If you stay with me until the end, you will not only understand these sacred principles, but you will also learn exactly how to apply them to send healing, comfort, and strength to anyone who needs it, whether they're in the next room or on the other side of the planet. The revelation of the infinite oceans of energy. Imagine for a moment that all existence is like an infinite ocean of pure energy. Every human being, every living soul, is like a wave rising on the surface of this mystical ocean. At first glance, each wave seems completely separate from the others, but when you delve into the essential truth, you discover something extraordinary. All waves are made of the same sacred water and are moved by the same invisible and powerful currents. This was the fundamental teaching that Paramahansa Yogananda shared with the world. The separation we perceive between ourselves and other human beings is simply an illusion created by our limited senses. In reality, we are all interconnected at a much deeper level than we ever imagined. When you send healing thoughts to another person, you're not throwing something strange toward them from a distance. Instead, you're activating the natural currents of that great ocean of universal consciousness, creating waves of light and strength that flow naturally toward the suffering soul. And because that soul is also a wave of the same infinite ocean, it receives the energy as if it were its own. This understanding of fundamental unity is what makes distance healing possible. If you imagine yourself as someone completely separate from others, isolated and powerless, it's natural to feel there's very little you can do for them from afar. But when you begin to perceive that the same life force breathing in you also breathes in them, then sending healing becomes as natural as speaking, as effortless as sunlight touching the earth each morning. Yogananda constantly reminded his disciples that separation is only an illusion created by our physical senses, while in spirit, we are eternally one. This unity is not an abstract philosophical concept, but a living reality that can be experienced and applied practically. The sacred instrument. Understanding Prana. The fundamental instrument in this mystical healing process, according to Yogananda's teaching, is Prana. Prana is the universal life force that sustains every atom of creation. It's the invisible but omnipresent energy that keeps your heart beating, gives life to your thoughts, and connects all forms of life in a cosmic network of divine power. Your physical body lives thanks to prana, which is transported through breath and distributed throughout your nervous system. Your thoughts are clothed in prana, giving them a substance that goes far beyond the physical mind. When a healer concentrates deeply and draws prana through prayer and meditation, that energy can be consciously directed toward another person, regardless of the distance separating them. The healer becomes a living channel, a sacred instrument through which flows the infinite current of divine love. This is not a capacity reserved for a chosen few or special saints. It's a potential dormant in every human being, waiting to be awakened through sincere practice and genuine faith. Yogananda provided specific yet profound steps to develop this sacred practice. First, one must attune with the divine in complete inner silence. In deep concentration, the healer prays, asking to become a pure instrument of divine will. With consciousness elevated toward the sacred, visualize the person in need, not with anxiety or worry, but with unconditional love and unshakable faith. Then, drawing cosmic energy with each conscious breath, the healer sends that divine light outward with pure will and sincere devotion. The affirmation Yogananda taught was simple yet powerful. Heavenly Father, your healing power is flowing through me right now. Fill this soul with your divine light. Restore them in body, mind, and spirit. The sacred technique of conscious breathing. Yogananda frequently guided his students to inhale deeply, feeling divine energy entering through each breath, and then exhale while projecting that energy with total concentration toward the person needing help. But there was a crucial instruction he always emphasized. The healer must never visualize the person as sick or weak. Focusing the mind on illness, he explained, is to strengthen it and give it more power. Instead, one must see the person radiant with health, surrounded by God's golden light, walking in strength and smiling in perfect peace. Concentrating on wholeness and perfection is to awaken it in reality. Beneath this teaching lies a profound truth that transcends all techniques. The power of love is the universe's greatest magnet. Yogananda taught that when your heart overflows with sincere compassion, the energy you send carries that love as its guiding current. A prayer offered coldly and mechanically achieves very little. But a prayer offered with deep feeling and genuine love pierces the veil of matter and travels directly to the other person's soul. Yogananda himself explained that when he prayed for others, he felt as if a great river of love flowed from his heart, carrying them toward divine light. Documented miracles, real testimonies of power. The archives of Yogananda's life are filled with extraordinary accounts that illustrate this power in action. On one memorable occasion, while he was in America, the mother of one of his disciples fell gravely ill in India. The disciple, unable to travel home, was filled with anguish and desperation. Yogananda told him gently, "Don't worry. God's light knows no distances." That same afternoon, Yogananda entered deep meditation and sent healing vibrations across oceans and continents. The next day, the disciple received a telegram that left him speechless. His mother had suddenly recovered, leaving the doctors perplexed as they couldn't explain her rapid and complete improvement. On another documented occasion, Yogananda prayed for a man who had been bedridden due to severe paralysis. From miles away, he concentrated with complete devotion and visualized divine light flooding the sick man's body. The man subsequently reported that at that exact moment, he felt immense heat and tingling throughout his body, as if invisible hands had touched him with divine power. Strength began to return to his extremities, and hope awakened in his heart. These were not isolated incidents or coincidences, but living demonstrations of a timeless truth. If God is everywhere, then his healing power is everywhere too. The healer's role is not to create that divine power, but to awaken and channel it. It's like opening a window in a dark room. The sunlight was already shining outside, patiently waiting to enter. The healer is simply the one who moves the obstacles, trusts in the divine flow, and allows it to pour freely through their being. The divine science of visualization. When Yogananda spoke about distance healing, he frequently emphasized the crucial role of visualization and affirmation. He taught that the human mind is inherently creative, and everything you hold clearly in your inner vision begins to imprint itself on the subtle energies of the universe. For this fundamental reason, he earnestly warned never to fix the mind on the image of illness. Concentrating on weakness or ailment is to give it energy, and energy always follows attention. Instead, he instructed his students to see the person in need surrounded by golden light, walking in divine strength, smiling in deep peace, free in spirit. If this knowledge is resonating deeply in your soul, and you wish to delve even deeper into these sacred mysteries of the spirit, be sure to subscribe to the Divine Karma Path channel. Here we regularly share the deepest teachings of the great spiritual masters, advanced meditation techniques, and ancient secrets for the awakening of consciousness. Don't miss any of these revelations that can transform your life forever. Yogananda encouraged the use of affirmations, not as empty words repeated mechanically, but as living seeds of spiritual power. When repeated with deep concentration and genuine feeling, affirmations awaken the subconscious and invite divine energy to flow without obstacles. Some practical examples Yogananda provided included silently affirming, "God's healing power is filling you right now. You are well, you are strong, you are radiant in His divine light. God's perfect peace surrounds your being completely." When pronounced with love and absolute conviction, these affirmations plant new patterns in the mind and body, and those patterns will inevitably bear fruit in physical reality. The fundamental role of sacred breathing. Breath itself plays a fundamental role in this mystical healing process. Yogananda explained that breathing is not merely physical air, but the sacred vehicle of life force. Each inhalation draws prana, the subtle energy that sustains all forms of life. Each exhalation can be used to project that divine energy outward. He instructed disciples to breathe with full awareness, inhaling while silently invoking divine energy toward themselves, and exhaling while mentally sending that energy to whomever they wished to help. This rhythmic breathing, practiced with sincere devotion, creates a constant current of healing, much like a river flowing from its source to nourish distant fields. Those who practice this method often reported feeling a tangible sensation of energy leaving their body and flowing outward. Some described it as heat in the chest, others as a current of light moving through the hands or forehead. Yogananda assured them that these sensations were signs that life force was being consciously directed, and that with continued practice, the channel would become stronger and clearer. The supreme importance of faith. However, Yogananda also reminded his students that healing is not simply a matter of mechanical technique. True power lies in unshakable faith. Faith, he explained, is the invisible conductor through which divine energy flows. If a person prays with doubt, the current is obstructed as if trying to send electricity through a broken wire. But if they pray with the certainty of an innocent child, knowing in their heart that God is listening and acting, then the current flows without obstacles or resistance. Faith is also important in the one receiving the prayer. If they are receptive, if they are open in heart and mind, the healing enters more completely. But even if they are not aware of the process, the soul itself is always receptive, because the soul naturally yearns for divine light. Yogananda encouraged his students not to worry about whether the person they prayed for believed in the practice or not. The Spirit, he said, has its own way of reaching every soul. What matters is that the healer trusts completely in God's presence and surrenders the outcome to divine will. The wisdom of spiritual surrender. This surrender is crucial because Yogananda reminded people again and again that true healing doesn't always mean the disappearance of physical illness. Sometimes the higher healing comes as strength to endure, as peace in the midst of suffering, or as courage to face life's trials. Illness, he explained, can sometimes be a teacher, guiding the soul to grow in wisdom, compassion, and spiritual detachment. For this reason, he taught that when we pray for others, we shouldn't demand a specific outcome. Instead, we should offer the prayer with humility, saying, "Lord, let your will be done. If it is your will, heal this body. If not, grant this soul peace and strength." Such a prayer is always answered, because healing will always come in the form most needed, even if it's not the form we expect. Sometimes healing is physical, sudden, and dramatic. Other times it's silent and interior, bringing serenity that no illness can disturb. Yogananda frequently reminded his followers that the body is temporary, but the soul is eternal. Healing the soul is the highest form of healing because it grants a freedom that no circumstance can take away. The daily practice of universal love. Still, he never dismissed the importance of helping people in their physical struggles. He knew that pain is real and suffering is heavy, so he encouraged his students to practice distance healing with sincerity and dedication. He wanted people to see that they were never powerless, even if they were far from those they loved. By attuning to God and sending thoughts of light, they could bring comfort, hope, and real change to others. He said that every time you think kindly of another person, every time you bless them in your heart, you're already practicing the art of distance healing. Every prayer, no matter how small it may seem, is a current of energy moving through the great ocean of spirit and touching the soul for which it was intended. Even if the results are not immediately visible, that energy is never lost, because love is never wasted and prayer never goes unnoticed. The awakening of dormant potential. Yogananda constantly reminded his students that the capacity to heal from a distance is not reserved only for enlightened saints. Every human being carries within themselves the seed of this divine power, because every soul is a child of God, and every soul is connected to the infinite source of universal energy. To awaken this sacred gift, he advised people to start simply but consistently. Each day in meditation, choose someone who needs help and pray for that person with complete sincerity. Visualize them surrounded by golden divine light. See them free, whole, and strong. Send them love with each breath and silently affirm their health and peace. He encouraged his followers not to worry about results or anxiously watch for signs that their prayers were working. Instead, he said to trust in the divine process. Every prayer offered sincerely is a spark released into the great current of divine energy, and those sparks always find their way to the soul that needs them. With continued practice, the healer begins to feel the current more tangibly. Some feel heat, others a current of light, and some notice that people around them simply feel uplifted in their presence, without knowing why. This, Yogananda explained, is the silent evidence that God's light is flowing through you. Direct proportion to meditation. He also reminded his students that this power grows in direct proportion to the depth of their meditation. The more one withdraws from restlessness and enters into inner silence, the more they become a clear channel for divine energy. The ego is the great obstacle. When a person thinks, "I am the healer," they block the flow. But when they surrender, realizing that God is the healer and they are only his instrument, then the energy moves without any resistance. In this way, healing becomes not an act of personal will, but a natural expression of the soul attuned to God. Stories from Yogananda's life frequently reveal this principle in action. Those who received his prayers noticed not only physical improvements, but also a deep inner peace. Some testified that at the moment he prayed for them, they felt as if an invisible presence had entered the room, filling them with calm and divine courage. Even people who had never met him in person reported sudden experiences of relief and renewal after he prayed for them from afar. These stories were not told to glorify Yogananda himself, but to demonstrate what is possible when the soul unites with divine energy, transcending the limitations of space and time. A disciple once asked him how it was possible to heal someone thousands of miles away. Yogananda gently responded that in spirit there is no distance at all. Space and time are properties of the material world, but the soul lives beyond them. When in deep meditation the mind transcends the senses, one enters a realm where separation completely disappears. In that state, he explained, sending healing to another is not like reaching across physical space. It's simply recognizing the unity that already exists and directing consciousness toward it. Yogananda taught that this practice could be strengthened through pure devotion. When the heart fills with unconditional love, energy flows more easily, because love is the natural current of the universe. He urged his students to cultivate a love that was unconditional, not tied to personal desire. The purer the love, the more powerful the prayer. He often said that love is the true healer, and divine energy simply follows the current of love. If you pray with mechanical words but without feeling, little happens. But if you pray with a heart overflowing with compassion, energy flows instantly and without obstruction. Cultivating love in daily life. For this reason, he encouraged people to begin with small acts of love in daily life. He said that when you smile at a stranger, speak kindly to a friend, or silently bless someone who crosses your path, you're already training yourself to send healing energy. These small acts strengthen the habit of love, and that habit becomes the foundation for more powerful prayer. Over time, the boundary between everyday kindness and spiritual healing disappears, and all of life becomes a channel of blessing for others. Yogananda also emphasized that distance healing is not limited to physical health. Many times, he prayed for people struggling with pain, depression, or confusion, and the effect was equally real. He explained that energy directed with faith can awaken clarity in the mind, courage in the heart, and peace in the soul. True healing, he said, is always greater than the physical body. It touches the deepest levels of human existence, restoring harmony where there was discord and bringing light where there was darkness. The supreme healing, remembering our unity with the divine. In fact, he frequently told his disciples that the highest healing comes when the soul remembers its unity with God. At that point, the fear of illness loses its power, and suffering no longer controls the heart. He said that when you live in the consciousness of God's presence, health becomes not just a condition of the body, but a natural radiance of the spirit. Prayer and healing are not just for moments of crisis, but for every day, for every breath, for every thought directed in love. This is why Yogananda called distance healing a divine science. Just as scientists study the laws of matter, seekers of truth can study the laws of spirit. Through meditation, prayer, visualization, affirmation, breathing, and love, these laws can be consciously applied. And just as physical science can transform the outer world, the divine science of healing can transform the inner world and the lives of those around us. An accessible path for all. Yogananda frequently reassured his students that distance healing is not something mystical belonging only to advanced yogis. It's an expression of the natural unity of all life. When people learn to calm their restless thoughts and open their hearts, they discover that their prayers and love can travel farther than their voices, farther than their hands, farther even than their physical presence. He reminded them that the world is held together by invisible bonds of energy and thought, and those bonds are strengthened each time we choose love over indifference, prayer over despair, and faith over doubt. For those who struggled to believe, he encouraged direct experimentation. He would say, "Don't just take my word for it, try it yourself. Sit in silence, offer your prayer sincerely, and watch what unfolds." Many who doubted at first later shared stories of friends suddenly calling to say they felt peace, of loved ones experiencing relief at the exact moment of prayer, or of themselves being transformed by the love they sent. The act of sending healing frequently heals the sender as well, because love always returns to the one who gives it. Personal growth through service. Yogananda explained that every time we pray for another soul, we also awaken the same blessing within ourselves. When you send strength, you become stronger. When you send peace, your heart becomes calmer. When you send light, your own path becomes brighter. In this way, the practice of distance healing is both a gift to others and a path of personal growth. It draws the heart out of self-centeredness and expands it toward universal compassion. As his life showed, Yogananda was not only concerned with teaching meditation techniques or philosophical truths. His greatest concern was love, the love of God, and the love of all souls. He knew that people yearn for connection, assurance that they are not alone in their suffering. And by teaching distance healing, he gave them a way to feel that connection in a real and tangible way. His message was simple yet profound. You are never powerless, because God's love can always flow through you to bless another, no matter where they are. Practical instructions to begin. To practice this teaching, you don't need ritual, you don't need complex words, you don't need a special environment. All you need is sincerity, a calm mind, and a heart filled with compassion. In those moments of prayer, imagine yourself as a channel of divine light. Feel that you are not the source, but the sacred instrument. Direct the light toward whoever needs help and release control. Trust that God's love knows where to go and what to do. This trust is the final key, because it is faith that opens the channel completely. Now you can see that what Yogananda offered was not just a method of healing, but a way of living. A life filled with love, prayer, and trust becomes a healing life. You may not always see immediate results, but the energy is never wasted. Somewhere, someone receives the strength they need, the comfort they prayed for, or the peace that allows them to continue forward. And when enough hearts live this way, the world itself begins to heal. So, if you have listened carefully, you now know that distance is no barrier to love. You know that prayer is not a small gesture, but a force that can reach across the world. You know that healing is not limited to the body, but embraces the heart and soul. And you know that God's light flows through you when you open yourself in faith and compassion. These are the truths that Yogananda shared and lived, and they remain as real today as when he first spoke them. Take this teaching with you and use it. The next time someone you care about is suffering, don't say, "I wish I could help." Instead, close your eyes, enter the sacred silence, and send them your prayer. Know with certainty that your love has reached them, because in spirit there is no separation. And as you continue, you will find that not only are others blessed, but your own soul becomes freer, stronger, and more filled with divine light. Remember that the soul's journey is one of continuous awakening. Every step, every prayer, every act of love brings you closer to the divine presence within. And as Yogananda reminded the world, when you live in that presence, your life becomes a beacon of healing wherever you go. The next time you feel that inexplicable connection with someone far away, the next time you wake up knowing someone needs your light, you will remember that you're not imagining things. You're feeling the deepest truth of the universe. We are all connected in the infinite ocean of divine love. And now, armed with this sacred knowledge, you can become the channel of healing that the world desperately needs.